Joining me on the hotline, as we do each and every week, is Dr. Dan Zanotti from the Center for Orthopedics with an injury update. Hey, let's talk about Nick Bosa, of course, former Buckeye, National Football League star with the San Francisco 49ers. He goes down, tears his ACL. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. Doc, we've talked about ACLs a ton, but I just want to dive a little bit deeper on, just how they figure out the player has a torn ACL in this situation.
Well, you always want to examine the player on the field first, but sometimes it's difficult, Dustin, because there's a lot of adrenaline going. The player may be tense. It's really hard to get a true exam in that situation. The other point is that there's also injuries that go along with an ACL tear. So even if you're suspicious that they did tear their ACL, you also want to evaluate the cartilage pad, the meniscus, the associated ligaments in the knee to see if there's any other injuries at the same time as the ACL. And that's where the MRI is very helpful.
In terms of those tests that you do on the field, what do you actually do and how predictable are they in telling that an ACL is torn?
Well, those tests are very reliable, and as long as you are able to get the patient or the athlete to relax and to let you do a proper exam, you can tell a lot of different things. You can tell about the laxity or the looseness associated with an ACL. You can feel different sides of the knee and see if there's any associated injuries at the same time. A lot of times, if you can get the patient or athlete to relax, you can get a pretty reliable exam.
They always say that the player has to wait weeks or however long it is for the swelling to come down before they can actually operate and do the procedure. How do you tell?
So there's some controversy about that, but ideally we like to wait a few weeks to allow for the patient to get their motion back. So we've learned over the years from research that if you start with a stiff knee, you're at a higher risk of getting a stiff knee after the surgery. So we try to get the swelling down, we try to get the motion back in the knee, and then once that is returned to near normal, it's a little bit safer to proceed with ACL surgery at that point. That's usually why it takes at least a few weeks.
Wow, Doc, that's such great insight. There he is, Dr. Dan Zanotti from the Center for Orthopedics. If you guys have any questions or concerns, give my team at CFO a call, 440-329-2800.